Hi guys, in this video I'm making a very simple, easy to make firewood holder with some curves in it, with pretty easy to source materials. So this part here I've bought the timber from Bunnings, and it's a piece 1200 by 305, nice dark finish, because I didn't really want to play around with timber because it doesn't like me, so I've made everything else to suit that size. And then the tube, I've just sourced some scrap pieces of 25mm or gal pipe. I think it's pretty cheap even if you had to buy it, but I had the option of just using scrap and using this pyramid roll, which means there's two rolls at the bottom, one at the top. You apply pressure and roll it, as you can see, and it takes years, but that's how you do it. If you don't have access, an engineering shop will not charge you much to do this. If you do roll it yourself, as you can see, there's about 200mm of what they call green left over, and that's the distance between the first and second roller, which you have to allow to cut off. So I've just got a level and marked where I'm going to cut it, and that'll make the perfect semicircle. Just cut that off with a grinder. So once I'd cut off those ends, the next thing I did was I sort of sat those semicircles on the table and visualized where I'd like the kindling holder to sit, and then I marked 450mm up either side so that the tops were square, and the edge of the table there, as you can see, there's a D shape. That's where I've marked the tube for the next piece of rolling to go. You sit that in there like that, and this is very rough and quick. And then you mark that and cut at that angle so that it can sit in there with a nice miter. I've rushed mine and didn't grind off the hot gal, which made a horrible time for welding. So if you do it, grind the gal off and get a nice perfect fitment, and you won't have any trouble. So next part is to make the railings that the timber screws onto. I just decided to use some 25 by 25 by 3 pieces of angle iron. You can use whatever you want, but I chose to use these because they were pretty much the right size off the scrap rack, and it seemed pretty convenient. So what I'm doing in this clip is just grinding a slight radius in the tube so that when it's placed up against, as you can see in this clip, the angle, there's no massive gap. If you don't do this, it's going to be annoying to get square and fill the gap. So that's all that I'd recommend for that. And then to actually, instead of smashing a big heavy tech screw through the angle iron, I've just marked a hole in the center and 50mm in from both ends, and in the center of the actual angle, and drill a pilot hole so that they can all be the same distance apart, and you don't have to smash a big heavy tech screw through it. And that's what I'm doing there. To make life a bit quicker, you mark one, and because doesn't need to be a super accurate hole centers, I've just marked one and then copied the rest off that just by eye. So this is me pressing out what's going to be the legs, and it's just a basic pipe bender which is placed in a larger press frame, just probably how it work. The idea was just to bend 4 pieces and cut them in half, because that was also off the scrap bench. Yeah, so if you overbend it in these things, you can flip it upside down and slightly bend it back. It's probably not recommended, but that's what I've had to do with one of them. And yeah, as far as making the legs symmetrical and stuff, all I've done is got on a square bench and measured the height that I wanted the actual bench to be, scribed a line, texted a line all the way across it, and that's where the angle line sits. And then I've marked the center of the top and the center of the bench so that can be aligned. And then
alright, just then you would have just seen the GoPro footage of bending these things here. I've got 4 of them, I need 8 of them, and the idea is that I'll just cut on the center line there, and that'll give us a nice leg to continue from that. I did try to keep that radius, but the base was too long and just looked like shite, so we'll cut them in half now, tack them on, and then should be right to blast and powder coat and screw the top on afterwards. I think I made a mistake because those holes, I just decided to bang them 50mm in from the ends, and that's pretty darn close to where the tubes weld up, but that's alright, we'll make these mistakes, at least that'll be hidden. So if you make one of these, just be wary of that. And yeah, let's get some more tacking so I can go home and blast this tomorrow. Alright guys, it's like 20 to 7, I'm getting pretty tired. So anyway, it's starting to take shape. As you can see, the wood goes in the top section, the kindling goes in the bottom section, which has the mesh on the base of it. So tomorrow I'm just going to come in early, weld the feet on at the right distance apart, weld the mesh on, tidy it up, test fit the timber, then we can blast it and coat it, and should be all done for Friday.
So you can't really see in this view, but I've chalk lined a template of the size of the timber onto the bench, so that gives me a reference as to what I can work with as for where the angle sits. I've roughly tacked it square, but there's a lot of play, and then what happens is the feet and the mesh will then hold the bottom out square. So that's a pretty simple way to do it. There's probably other ways, but this is what I've done. And yeah, it's worked out pretty good. The feet I've just made out of 6mm sheet, which I've cut down to 50 by 400, and I've just rounded off the edges using a polyfan because it was the closest thing to my hand at the time. It's definitely worth doing, rounding off the edges, because you'll be annoyed when it's finished if you don't. And yeah, so as you can see, when you tack the feet on, that holds it out all square and it won't be wobbly. And then the last thing to do is the mesh. One thing I'd also like to mention is if you guys do this, you should probably wear a mask. As you can see, that smoke is just sitting around and you don't want that in your lungs. Yeah, I should have known better and was just working a bit too quick. So I've done powder coating videos in the past, so I don't need to explain too much other than I've used a Dulux powder this time instead of the prismatic powders. It's just satin black. If you don't have access to powder coater, you can get paint which is satin black. That's pretty simple, or yeah, they'll probably cost a couple $100 to get someone else to powder coat it.
Fabulous.
It's 47 degrees right now. That's like 100 and something for you Yanks. We've got this is pretty much finished. So the firewood sits here, kindling goes here, and then extra stuff can go underneath. We're going to pack these in the car and go home, and I can upload this after they've unwrapped it. I hope you guys, if you guys do it, you guys can do a better job, but it's pretty simple to do, and yeah, it's a pretty cool Christmas gift. If you can get the stuff rolled and all that, it's a pretty simple job. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.